Doctor Strange in many ways feels like a throwback movie to the early days of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well before your Civil Wars and your Avengers, which is weird to say considering this film franchise, it's only about 8 years old. But when you stop to think about it, so many other franchises have been born and subsequently crushed to death in that time period. The Last Airbender, Percy Jackson, a new Terminator trilogy, Battleship, Ender's Game, Expendables, Hancock, John Carter of Mars. Not to mention we've seen 3 different incarnations of a DC movie universe. What I'm saying is though, this 14th movie feels like one of the first, as the story it tells has that same level of containment, initially at least. Maybe that's because there's such a big focus on the origins of Strange, but I think it's mostly due to the fact that this movie deals with mysticism and magic, and that's very much separate from everything else. I mean, you're not going to stumble across Thor in another dimension. You know what, actually you might. Who knows what that bloke's up to? He's very mobile. But you're not going to stumble across Hulk in another dimension. But then again, maybe. Where's he at? He could have gone into a wormhole. Who knows? But you're not going to stumble across bloody Ant-Man in a... But then again, he did spiral into that weird parallel shrinky world. Look, it's just different, alright? It's a different concept that this movie has been built around that we haven't really seen before. Of whips made of magic fire, bending a city in on itself, time manipulation, and sentient cloaks.
Stop.
And you know what? It all works really well. This movie's a bit of a bloody romp, mate. I'm not really a big proponent of saying you should see a movie based on its visuals alone. In fact, if a movie's big draw card is just that, I'd say it's probably a pile of hot garbage. Just stay away from it. But if there was anything ever close to an exception to this, it's this movie. The psychedelic nature of the visuals are absolutely spectacular. But you know what? Luckily, it's not just that. I think there's only so much of watching a man tumble through a weird reality that I could possibly stand, and Benedict Cumberbatch pulls in a very charismatic performance to nobody's surprise as Strange, which anchors the whole film. I thought his American accent would bother me more, but you kind of settle into it pretty quickly, and he's funny and he's likable, and you empathize with him. Plus he does simmering anger and arrogance really well, all of which make the character a great window into this new world. In fact, this is superb casting all around. I particularly liked the Strange Mordo dynamic, which I think will make things very interesting down the line. If I default this movie though, it's that the plot is a little paint by numbers. The character arcs are nothing we haven't seen before. The whole thing is just painted with a more unconventional brush. That being said, there's more kind of ambiguity and grey areas built around characters that can see there isn't just black and white, good and bad, and how some can accept that and some refuse to. And as far as villains go, Mads Mikkelsen does a great job. There's not a hell of a lot to it, but you can see things from his perspective, which makes any villain, just that little bit more interesting. All in all, yes, this is one of Marvel's best origin movies in an era where I thought I'd be very much over Marvel origin movies, and it's definitely one of the best solo movies that we've seen, because it's held up by some very charming performances and a visually stunning world. It also very much feels like Strange is being pushed as the next Iron Man in terms of taking center stage in the universe, and I think that could work out rather well. Or not. I don't know. So I give this movie a... This isn't a real rating system. I don't do that. In fact, I'm kind of beginning to hate reviewing movies. I'm thinking of relegating it to my podcast, The Weekly Planet, where it's more of a free-flowing discussion. That's linked below if you want to check it out. Out of 10. Or it's out of 5. It doesn't matter. It's not a real rating system. Here's a question though. What's your favourite Marvel solo movie? If you have any thoughts, please feel free to leave them below, along with what you thought of Doctor Strange. Also, I don't know if you've heard this, but I have a podcast called The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. That is linked below. Alright. That's it. I'm ending the video. You can stick around, but you don't have to, because this will be just a static screen in a few seconds. Take care.